Hey, the Edgar community. We are so grateful for you joining our very special March content batching party. It's going to be a good one today, and we're so glad that we have this opportunity to connect with you. My name is Megan. If we haven't met before, Paula, thanks for already hitting the chat up over there. You can notice that Paula over on the right side of your screen said hello in the chat, and I'd love for the rest of you to join together and say hello so that we know who's here. Let us know what industry you're in and where you're tuning in from. I am here in Denver, Colorado, and my colleague Maura is actually going to be helping out in the chat today. So when you have questions that pop up, or if you just want to make some comments, you'll see her pop up in there with some helpful replies for you. She's over in Washington, D.C. Meet Edgar is a completely remote company, which is super fun, of course, which means that we do get to find really great ways of connecting. Brenda, welcome, fitness and nutrition from Missouri. Gina, hello, a business coach from Vancouver. One of our ops people is actually located in Vancouver. I hope you're doing well with things all around the globe as you guys are joining in today. It's going to be one that we talk a lot about, just the ways that we are able to use our Meet Edgar account in order to change about some of our posting schedule right now. So I'm going to pop on in and show you some quick tips and tricks about how to use Edgar when you're changing up your messaging. If you're really familiar with the Meet Edgar features, perhaps find a little something to do for the next 10 minutes or so while we go over that. Then I'm going to transition into the batching part, where we're going to go over how to really connect and with some really great messaging right now. And how to kind of produce great content batches in these times that are a little bit different and the messages that should be putting out. Then I'll transition back to a little bit of a Q&A session where we're answering some more of your questions. Joanne, thanks for joining from the UK, a novelist from Los Angeles. Excellent. If you guys have any tips and tricks for how you're handling your remote work or anything like that during this time, please share. If you see someone in a similar industry to you, ask each other about what's going on and what's working well for you and your marketing messages right now. Let's make this a community-oriented space. So I'm going to pop in and share my screen to show you how Meet Edgar can really work with this change of messaging you might be going on. So first and foremost, I know a lot of you pre-submitted some questions before we started this party, and a lot of you did say you were new to Meet Edgar. So I'm going to do a really quick overview just so when we get into the slides and the batching part, you have an idea of how to add this content in. So again, if you are someone who's familiar with the features, hang tight. I promise we'll get to the batching and messaging part in a second here. But when you're setting up your Meet Edgar account, this accounts tab is where you're connecting your social media accounts. Go ahead and click on the icon. It'll grab the username and password and hook it up here for you. Categories are essentially just the buckets of posts, the types of things you want to send out throughout the day, throughout the month, throughout the week. So just think about the types of posts that connect well with your followers. It takes your social media feed from being a really random place to being one that has a lot of strategy behind it, as well as one that is really producing consistency for your followers. So things like quotes, tips, behind the scenes content. You can get really targeted with things like, Throwback Thursday or Motivational Monday. Stuff like that. You can always rename a category if you don't love the ones Edgar has suggested, or create your own category with this Add New Category button. Once you set your categories up, you're going to add content to Edgar. And when we get into the batching part and when we get into the messaging part, this is how you'll actually add your status updates. You'll click Add New Content, check off the accounts you'd like it to go out to over on the left, select what type of post this is from the category drop-down menu, write your status update here. You can add a photo or a video if you'd like, and then save it to your library. Your library is where all your posts are stored. It's a catalog of your posts, but nothing will send out until you tell Edgar when. A couple of ways of scheduling in Edgar. This weekly repeating schedule is great for your evergreen content, so that's stuff that makes sense to send out no matter what time of year it is. You'll pop your category time slots on here. So you can see to make a time slot, you'll just click into that area, check off the accounts, select what type of post you'd like to go out, go ahead and select if you'd like it on multiple days, and click on Save. How these are working with the library is a last in, first out rotation. So Edgar will hit this time slot on your schedule. The most recent post you added to that category in the library will be the first post Edgar sends out to the content, to the accounts that are connected there. He'll put it to the end of the line and move along. Next time he hits that category, he'll send the next update out, put it to the end of the line and move along, and continue to work through all of the content in that category. Once he reaches the bottom and there's no new content, that's when he'll start from the top again, resurfacing your older content for new followers to see, as well as those who didn't have the opportunity to see it the first time. To know where you are in your posting schedule, your queue is going to be the connection between the library and the schedule. So the queue will show you the date and what you have going out. You can always pause the queue if you wanted to stop automation, skip posts in the queue, or filter the queue to see what you have going to a specific account here. So in this time, there are some things that you can start doing in order to make sure that messages you don't want to go out right now aren't going to go out. First and foremost, if you want to pause just one category in Edgar, we're getting this question a lot, pop into your schedule and remove that category as a time slot. Remember, if that category is nowhere on your schedule, Edgar won't be able to send from there. So if you decided that maybe there's some funny memes that are going out that just aren't appropriate messaging right now, you can locate your funny category, click into it on the schedule, and remove it from there. Edgar does have this category drop-down menu to show you all of the time slots related to a specific category, so you can sort your schedule so you can easily remove those. The posts will remain in your library and you can always pop them back on again. This is a great strategy too if you are starting to batch new messaging for this time. If you create a new category in Meet Edgar and you want to call it like, coronavirus messaging or whatever makes sense for you, you can always come in here and you can change these categories and you can select your new marketing messages that you want to send out at this time, swap those out for some of the new ones. And remember, again, you can always use the schedule here as a campaign style. So another thing you can do is create holding categories. So if you create a category in Edgar and you call it holding, make sure that you remove the checkbox when you're creating this type of category that says to include in random content posting. So you can see when you're adding a category, just make sure you're unchecking this. If you call it holding or drafts, you can come into your library here and you can actually move your content that's in a certain category to a holding category very easily using our bulk edit here. So if you click on bulk edit right here, you'll notice that it'll take you to a screen where, again, you can use this filter on the left to select a category, perhaps your funny post you want to put into the holding category. You can go ahead and filter the bulk edit screen by just that category. Click on this update checkbox here and go ahead and move it into a drafts or a holding category. That'll take all the posts from that category, move it into the holding one so that they won't go out during this time. Additionally, if you are looking for articles that are going out that have to do with any messaging at this time that you'd like to send to all of your social media accounts at once, but only have it send one time, super simple to set up in Edgar. You're just going to come in as you're adding new content, check off the accounts you'd like to send this article to. You'll notice that right next to the Save to Library button, there's an arrow drop down. You can click Send Now and Save. This will send it to all of your accounts that are checked off over here. If this perhaps is a trending news article that you just wanted to get out, you can always mark it as use once before you send it out. Once you click Send Now and Save, it'll send to everywhere, and then Edgar will expire it. So there's a lot of features you can use, and automation during this time doesn't mean that the same messages have to go out. It means that this is a time where you should be thinking about the messaging a little bit more and making sure you're taking advantage of automation tools to keep you really structured during this time. Cool? Cool. So I'm going to jump into the actual batching part now. Like I said, at the end, I will come on back and I will answer any questions. I'll answer any questions that you have about kind of Edgar features. So keep them coming. I'll scroll back through. If Maura doesn't answer them, and if I don't see it, just ask it again, and we'll go over more setup questions at the end. But now we're going to go right into the fun batching part of things. So right now is obviously a time that we all have to learn to message our followers and message our company's values a little bit differently in order to make sure we're speaking to the sensitivities that are going on in the world right now. It is very important that you let your followers know that business isn't as usual in their lives. And this can be a hard thing to express sometimes. So I want you to know that we are all learning how to do this. Give yourself some grace, give yourself some time to learn your way into this. We don't get born as experts. So take your time and make sure you're being really thoughtful about this. I want to make sure that you're sticking with your GPS. This is a thing that's really common in social media, to make sure you have a map of where you're going. If we don't know where we're going, it's going to be really hard to know if we're staying on track, if we're hitting traffic and we could take another route, if we don't have those goals in mind. So keep your goals top of mind. If you are someone who is struggling to come up with goals right now, at the beginning of this year, we did a goal setting session that we have a worksheet, and I'll pop the worksheet right in here to the chat section there. So download that worksheet and take this time to prioritize your goals now. Prioritizing your goals and getting that messaging set is really important to make sure, again, you know where you're going. Stick with your positioning of what your brand is. That's why you have brand values. So don't make any super drastic changes there, and make sure your scheduling on Meet Edgar is set up. This is the way you're going to have that GPS to know you're staying right on that roadmap, and I know you guys can do it. All right, so as we go a little bit further, remember that successful messaging on social media isn't created. Successful messaging is built. You want to make sure that you're finding the right information and researching your audience and building these posts and campaigns off of these findings. So what that means is test some of these messaging and know what your followers are really interested in right now. One of the coolest ways that you can do this is using things like your Facebook Insights, like your Google Analytics, and even like your Business Manager in Facebook. If you guys haven't used your Business Manager yet in Facebook, it is amazing for being able to target these audiences and build messaging and make sure, again, that you're testing it throughout. So let me pull that up and share my screen one more time right now so that you can see where you can find this in your Business Manager. So if you go to your Facebook Business Manager in Facebook here, there we go. You'll notice that you can actually go to this drop down right here. So when you're in the Business Manager, go to this drop down. You'll notice that there's a portion called Audience Insights. This will allow you to create your messaging in a way that is really targeted and built towards your followers' interests. And you can actually use this time to target maybe some different audiences. This allows you to explore them. So once you're in this Audience Insights section, so again, go to your Business Manager, use this drop down and click Audience Insights. Right here over on the left, we can start to really nail down some interests that we know our core audience persona has in order to see what types of actions they're taking on social media right now. So let's take, for example, right here, if I type in a interest right here, you can notice I typed in the interest fitness and wellness. So if I am a coach right now who is a personal trainer and I want to see what's going on. There we go. Sorry about that, guys. For some reason, when I share my screen there, it does cut out sometimes. Cool. So as you're going throughout this audience insight section, just look for different interests that could be going on in your particular audience right now. And you can actually see the other pages that they're liking. Go to these pages and see what they're actually interested in. And it can be a really exciting space for you to understand your followers a little bit more. So use these audience insights to see what people are liking, to see what people are doing online and how that's changed. And use this as an opportunity to target different people. Cool? All right, so let's pop back into the slides, and thanks for sticking with that little outage there. Appreciate it. So remember, successful messaging isn't always created. It's built by A/B testing. It's built by really targeted audience research. So take this opportunity if you have some extra time to actually do that research. As you're doing that, keep what your core audience wants to know in mind. Remember this idea of altering your messaging, but sticking with your goals and priorities can be accomplished if you know your ideal audience persona to a T. So look at what this aquarium did here. I'm sure you've all seen this meme going around or this video of these penguins exploring the aquarium. It's amazing. If you haven't yet and you need a little moment of zen, go search for it. It's awesome. But look how they took this opportunity to provide what they know their ideal audience wants, which is a view of the animals. That's why you go to the aquarium. It's to interact close up with the animals. So they took this opportunity to take a video and share what's going on. How can you bring that into your business right now and into your messaging? Give a behind the scenes of what's going on and think about if this, if your followers want to see something from you. Paula, yes, this is recorded. I'll send out the recording afterwards. So yeah, get creative with it and think what your ideal audience needs the most. What do they value right now? Think about these experiences you can provide them. We all know we are an experience-based economy, right? We don't purchase on logic all the time. We don't purchase on the greatest price all the time. We purchase on emotion and experiences and benefits. So when you're marketing right now, go for the experiences like this aquarium did by providing this experience right now, and think about how you can get creative about letting people know about the benefits of your product or service right now. For example, if you guys are working remotely, products like Loom and Zoom, weird that those rhyme, they are two different businesses, are really great if you wanted to be an affiliate for them or something like that. If you need to free up some cash really quickly right now, think about how you can get creative with those types of partnerships right now too. Other things you need to really think about right now is doubling down on what works. During these times of uncertainty, you don't want to add more uncertainty to your marketing. Focus on the messages that have worked for you in the past. Use your Facebook analytics. Use your history tab in Meet Edgar to sort your history in order to see the posts that have worked the best in the past and double down on that message. Focus on messages of comfort and community. Don't try to innovate and change a lot right now because the world is changing so much that you don't know what can happen minute from minute, and you want to be that sort of guiding voice for your followers that's not going to be trying out a lot of new things. So even though you're going to be someone who is building really strong messages and looking for new audiences to reach, use those core values and think about what your followers at the end of the day value. You have an audience persona for a reason, and think about what that persona is going through right now. Do you market to moms? Do you market to families? What's going on in their life right now? Their kids are at home. They're being homeschooled. You showing up on social media with some tips about how you can educate your children online. If you can curate a list of things that is working well for your own family. If you can go out and look for some resources like Zoom that you can offer them as a way that they could connect with their friends but not actually have to be in contact. You see how these things might not necessarily be related to your marketing, but they speak into your followers' lives and they're helpful in that way. Go back to your audience persona, go back to know what you know works and what's going on in their lives, and you know the messaging that they need to hear right now. So produce content that speaks around that. For example, here at Meet Edgar, we are a remote company, so we are really great experts at how this works. So right now, Maura, who's in the chat with you right now, is actually the person who runs our social media. So pop on over to our channels and see what she's doing right now. She's stopped a lot of our normal messaging. However, she's gone back to one of our core values, which is making sure that we are offering value for value with our community and our expertise. Our expertise is remote work, so we're sharing tips for what we know works well, having set business hours, having these set meetings, the tools that we use in order to have project management like Asana, like Trello, these things that help with group communication when working on projects. These things matter to change up your messaging right now so it resonates with your community. So go check out what she's doing right now and see how you could take your expertise, remember, your unique selling proposition of your brand and of making more people want to follow you is taking what you know and the stories in your life and sharing them. So don't go and copy your competitors. Don't go do that. Think about what you are an expert in and share that story, and it's going to resonate so much better that way. Don't be reactive. Don't just be posting posting's sake. Actually go out there again and be proactive thinking about what your followers need. Lorraine, our handle on social media is @MeetEdgar. So if you go to Instagram or if you go to Twitter or Facebook, just go to @MeetEdgar and you can see the posts there. All right, so every single aspect of the social media posts that we're going to start creating today have a lot of opportunity to personalize. And when you're doing this, you really want to break it apart into knowing that, the image, the text, the headline, the call to action, and the value proposition, those are all aspects of one social media post. And when you're testing different messaging and when you're not sure what's working right now, what you want to do is only change one of these. Pick one of these to change and do that. You don't want to change all of them at once because then you don't know what is working. So when you're crafting your social media status updates, look at each one of these and do this systematically, because I promise you that if you change it all at once and you see a big dip or you see a big spike in the actual engagement of the post, you're not going to know what worked best. So this is how you test your messaging. And remember, again, we're building really strong marketing campaigns. They're not just created out of thin air. They're done in an experimental mindset, and you're researching what is working and what's not. So change one thing at a time, and that's truly going to make the biggest difference in understanding the message that your team wants or that your followers want to hear right now. All right, so it's time for a little bit of Edgar action time before we actually start into creating status updates. I want to go back to this idea that you need to start falling back on your core values. That's why you have them. So when things get confusing and when things get tough, they are there for you. So get out your journal at some point and write down what are the 3 main pillars and the 3 core messages that work really well for your brand. Remember, again, as an example, me, Edgar, does remote work. We are experts in social media scheduling, and we are experts in things like automation tools. Those are 3 pillars of content that we know we're experts in and that our community also really likes to learn. So we're going to fall back on those core messages rather than innovate a lot. So what are the 3 core pillars in your business that you can really start to focus around? Remember, if we're repeating those 3 core things, we're showing our followers we're experts in that area, and we're drilling down to this idea that when it comes time for them to need a product or service like yours, you are going to be the person that they think of. Focus on these and tweak them to the sensitivity of the moment, but really make sure that you're sticking with these, again, to make sure you're really producing a strong message on social media. You really want to focus on what matters right now as well. A lot of people in small businesses right now are worried, understandably so. And this can be something that is an opportunity for you to get a little creative. You know that quote when you say things like, the constraints produce more creativity? A lot of the time when we take away some of our normal tools that we typically use, we get a lot more creative and innovative. So how can you use this time to say, you know what, we don't have all the tools we need, so what can I do to actually produce better results? There's so many studies that have like groups of engineers and lawyers have to do things like build a house out of marshmallows and toothpicks. And then you have a group of kindergartners doing the same thing at the same time. And it's the kindergartners who actually produce the bigger, sturdier house because they're not constrained by these ideas of what business has to be. So can you take these studies and these ideas and actually use them to get creative in ways that you can focus on how to get a reach that might not be working as it has in the past? So things like, can you actually take yourself virtual and do a webinar or a podcast? These ideas that this is what people want right now. When we're social distancing, we want that human connection. Can you hop on a Facebook Live? Can you get a partnership with another brand or service that you know has the ideal customer who's very similar to you? And can you actually make a partnership with them so you guys can start to list share? Collaboration is more important than ever, so start reaching out to people. Can you create a Facebook group to foster more community right now when people need it most? Can you use this opportunity to add that other social media network in? If you guys have never been on a podcast before and you want to use this as a way to reach out, how do you think people get on podcasts? They pitch themselves. It's not a scary thing to do. So if you've never tried pitching yourself, I'm going to pop right in here, something that's our podcast pitch guide. You can go ahead and use this. It's kind of like a Mad Libs formula to go ahead and reach out to some podcasters. They are doubling down on their medium right now, and they might need a host who has a message just like you to share. You're not going to know if it works until you try it. So get creative and reach out and focus on the things that matter with that human connection. So a lot of people are nervous about how you can sell things right now. So we talked a lot about branding when it's sticking to your core messages, reaching out to do webinars and podcasts and stuff like that. but you still need to sell. You need to get that cash flow, and you need, as a small business, to stay solvent right now. But it can feel a little bit icky sometimes, not only right now, but always on social media. So I wanted to go over a few topics about when you're writing your actual post for selling. Remember, people on social media don't like to be sold to. People in general don't like to be sold to. That's why sales reps and used car salesman is kind of a term that we all use, and we know what it means. We know the connotation that it has. But on the flip side of that, people love to buy things. So that is a tricky thing to get in your mind, that people don't want to be sold to, but they want to buy things. So how do we navigate that? It's stripping it down to the least friction that you can provide in your marketing messages. It is being so clear, because people's minds are being cluttered right now with so much new stuff, that if you can just be super clear on who you are, what you sell, make sure you are getting the least cognitive load possible for people to figure out what your product or service is right now, the better. So how can you make sure that your followers don't have to kind of guess what you do? If you're someone who likes being clever and doing that kind of curiosity marketing, right now is a time to perhaps consider doing more of a clear-cut, less cognitive load, less friction style of selling on social media. So take a look at your promotional category in Meet Edgar and see if you can clarify a little bit further, because a confused mind does not buy. They go right past that, and they don't want to engage with that post if they're confused. All right, how else can you sell right now? New ideas means uncertainty again. Go back to relating it to something familiar in their life. For example, Meet Edgar, a social media automation tool. Again, it goes back to not selling that feature of automating your social media. That's not very inspiring to sell. It goes back to saving you time so you can spend that with your family and friends. That's relatable right now because we have a lot of time on our hands, but we also have a lot more stuff to do, a lot more content to consume right now. So we can relate that selling proposition back to saying, you know, take care of your friends, take care of your family right now. Let us take care of your social media. You see how that works? We're focusing on the benefit of saving you time, and we're relating it to what's going on in people's lives right now. So go ahead and think how you can do that for your business. You know, try saying what it's not. If you're having a hard time getting a really good sales post going on right now, try saying, you know, it's not about ignoring your followers. For example, again, a social media automation tool. Automating your social media isn't about ignoring your followers, and it's not about never being on social media. It's about creating more opportunities for engagement, because if you're automating your posts and you're having them send out, you have more time to jump on live and talk to your actual followers. You see again how that works there. So if you're having a hard time clarifying and simplifying your message, try the "this is what it's not" idea, and that can sometimes resonate with your followers. And again, test, 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 build campaigns that your followers are giving you the feedback from. How else can you make sure that your sales posts right now are the most clear and the most inspiring for your followers? Well, you can go ahead and think about the idea that influence is what social media is about. A lot of people like to say if you have one follower, you have influence, and you have a responsibility right now to go ahead and use that influence in a really great way. So you can make sure that you know that you have no control over if your followers are going to buy right now or not. You have no control over the fact if they were going to pull out their credit card and pay you. What you do have control over is influencing them to have a conversation with you, to let them know your product or service exists, who you are for, why you're created. Again, sharing your company values is huge for that, because we do purchase on values and companies that we feel like we connect with more and more these days. So focus on what you can control, which is your messaging, and just do that in a way that you know your followers will appreciate, because it's conversation rather than being a pushy sale. So that's the mindset that you want to have when you're crafting these promotional posts. Remember, when you're crafting your promotional posts, that people need the belief system and that foundation before you're going to sell them. So what this means is, you know, at Meet Edgar, we need you to believe that automating your social media will lead to more consistency and engagement. We need you to believe that having an evergreen posting schedule, again, being able to resurface your content, is really powerful for getting your message out to the majority of your followers. We need you to believe that having a category-based system and making sure you have a variety of posts going out is a really powerful way to connect with your followers. Then once you get into our tool and use it, we've already educated you on why these things are so important. So what can you start educating your followers on right now? Perhaps they don't have the money or the bandwidth to purchase your product or service, but you can start educating them on these other areas that's going to make them more successful once things calm down and they do purchase from you. They'll have it, they'll have all the tools they need to be successful with it, and they'll have that foundation. So your sales post right now might be oriented a little bit more towards educating people on the sort of holistic area of your product or service. Again, marketing in Meet Edgar, we can teach other marketing lessons so that you can become a better overall marketer and see how social media can fit in with your whole marketing system. If we teach those things, even though it's not directly related to social media automation, it's just going to make you that much more successful. And when you're successful, you'll continue to use the automation tool that's helping produce the time for you to do these other things. So again, it's taking that holistic view of your followers' whole lives. Make sure you're getting people results. Create a category in Meet Edgar called tips and go ahead and give people a way to take action on some small tips before they buy your product or your service. If you can get someone results right away, it is so much more likely you'll build that trust and they will want to buy your actual paid service. So don't be afraid to give away your knowledge. It is becoming a knowledge-based economy these days, and sharing your thought leadership and sharing your unique perspective on your industry right now is always going to make you stand out and is always going to attract the people who are right for you. Help people believe that your company is there to provide value to them. Let people know there's a real person behind the screen. Your status updates should show off that you are a real brand. Share photos of your company's employees and what they're doing right now. Share them working remotely right now. It is a great way, again, to resonate because it's likely a lot of your followers are doing the same thing. And share those tips, you know. There's a lot of ways that you can sell this idea of what your company is and sell these beliefs to your followers so that when it comes time to buy, again, you have built that foundation so strong that the only answer they want to give you is, yes, please take my money. I know you're the right choice. All right, so if you had a discount or something like that planned right now, how can you switch the messaging on that? Go into your Meet Edgar account and go ahead and think how you can make it into something. If you have like a spring cleaning coming up right now, messaging like that, see how you can switch that to let people know, you know, we're discounting our product because we care about making sure that the majority of people who need it can have it. Speak into what's going on right now and what's resonating. Take this opportunity to show how much you care about your followers. Get creative with things like if you're a coffee shop or a space that's closed down right now, or if you're working virtually even, can you run a Facebook Live meetup? Can you do these things again that are bringing people to these virtual spaces? You know, at the end of it, if you're a coffee shop, can you perhaps consider getting a gift card out there so that people can purchase a gift card from you and support you that way? Why else do people go to coffee shops? It's not always just for the coffee. They can make that at home. It's to connect and have a space to be at that's outside of their home. When people can't do that, can you go ahead and make sure that you are providing these spaces anyway? Julie, I love that comment in the chat now. Yes, I have seen so many people like John Legend give these beautiful concerts online. If you're in the music industry, take advantage of these ideas as well. Any industry can do that. For example, you know, we're a software company. We're going to start really doubling down on some Facebook Lives. We're really doubling down on things like this to create some community. Go ahead and host a Twitter chat if you've never done that before. It's a pretty cool idea that you can bring people together under a common hashtag and actually chat with each other. Maura is a pro at that. If you have any questions at all, she set up some really great ones with us in the past. Again, just how can you bring people together to get brand awareness out there? All right, so share beyond what you do right now. Share who you are and get creative about human connection. Can you create a special kind of action-oriented bonus right now, perhaps? If you have some sort of sales post going on right now, can you say, Create a sense of urgency by saying, if you purchase within the next week, if you purchase my course, if you purchase my program in the next week, you will get a call with me. Or the first 100 people to purchase gets a coaching call with me, or something like that. Again, it's speaking into what people need, that connection right now. And perhaps it's just a bonus that you can provide without discounting your product if you need that cash flow right now, especially being a small business. So create these experiences that bond with each other. Think about additional ways that you can offer value, like doing an action-oriented bonus phone call. Think about ways you can show off in a selfie and in a video to get that human-to-human connection, because we all know it is not business to business, business to customer, or anything like that right now on social media that we need. It is human-to-human connection. Can you do some good in the world? Can you create content that really encourages people to start to donate to charities that are doing really well, or sign a petition for a local restaurant in your area right now? Show that you want to create a strong community globally, and people love that sort of charitable giving in a way that they will share it on their own page if they resonate with it. This is a great way to get your brand not only some really great karma out there, but also, again, if people are sharing your posts onto their own personal feed, it gets your brand name out there in a sense that you're doing some word of mouth marketing. So look for causes that you care about that your company can help with to get that good karma and to get that word of mouth marketing. All right, so going on more too, you want to make sure that you are taking the time to really double down on, I think that was a second one. Focusing on your shareable content. Like I said, with less and less word of mouth marketing, we are always going to make sure that it is a space that we need to be talked about, because if someone else tells you about a brand, it's more likely that you are going to trust that your friend already knows this brand, right? So how can you make shareable images right now? You can do inspirational quotes, might be super popular right now because people need that hopeful vibe. You can share your content into a group that has to do with your product or service. There's a ton of Facebook groups out there, and if you as a page share a piece of content you posted on your page into that group, it opens up your brand name to the people in that group. The people in that group can see it. They can know about your brand a little bit better. So again, get that connection going. Make sure you're creating what you wish existed right now. That is going to be shareable content for your community. And remember, the algorithm is probably going kind of crazy right now with the different type of content people are wanting to consume. So stay strong to create for your audience, not for the algorithm. All right. Don't neglect the holy grail of digital marketing, which is your evergreen content. Your evergreen content, that stuff that is going to really help your followers know your core messaging, should still be going out. So as we were talking about replacing some of the categories on Meet Edgar, make sure that your evergreen content, like your blog posts and stuff like that, continues to drive traffic to your site. In Meet Edgar, you can actually use variations to start to change the messaging on some of your blog posts. If you go to the Add New Content screen, there's a little button in the lower left-hand corner of the Add New Content text box, and it says Add Variation. It'll pop up a second text box for you where you can alter the language that you're using in your post, stuff like that. Remember, your variations will send out in a last in, first out order as well. So if you add a new variation to go out, it'll be the first variation that goes out. So you can start talking a little bit more into what's going on right now. Curate lists right now. So if you are creating new content right now, curating lists of your favorite business books, of your favorite podcasts, or your favorite YouTube videos is really helpful, because that's the sort of entertainment that people want. And it also is a space that you're saying, here's some value that I'm offering because I've gone out and vetted this. And if your followers trust you, which if they're following you, it's likely they do, they'll really appreciate that they don't have to go out and research that. That's the power of curated content in general. You want to make sure you're sharing your opinions about these things as you're curating it. You want to make sure that you have these articles set up so that you have these opportunities to share your thought leadership around what books are really great, what articles are really great in your industry right now, keeping people up to date. It is a great way to have an opinion, but not have to take a stance on anything controversial going on right now, right? So again, curate these lists for people, and people will really appreciate your opinion about them and you doing the work and vetting what articles are great to read in your industry, what books are great to read in your industry. And it just allows your followers, again, to know that you are supporting them with your content. Take this time to build relationships on Instagram. Relationships build into the algorithm so much. You want to talk with your followers, get into some common hashtags, and make sure that you are really making oh, sorry, I thought that popped out for a minute there. All right, so make sure you're playing into the algorithm in the way that you're talking with people in the comments, because it is going to that relationship building that the algorithm looks for, that meaningful social interaction. To explore hashtags in your niche in Instagram, go in and like some certain photos. If you've never tried this strategy of liking photos within a hashtag or commenting photos within a hashtag in your industry, it is a great way to get brand awareness and to get more people to follow you, because again, they see that there's real people and real connection to be had, and that you are a brand that they could learn something from. So go on and do that, and really make sure that you're sticking with this human-to-human relationship building right now. Use this as a time to connect with these like-minded ideas. Open up to show how you solved a challenge this week and share these personal stories. Again, when I said creating things in categories and Meet Edgar, like Throwback Thursday, to do behind-the-scenes content, that's because people love to get that pull back from the curtain and a look into what's going on in other people's lives. So get a little vulnerable and share what's going on in your life. People love that view. Again, and it just humanizes your brand, which makes it that much easier when that sales conversation comes along. Use this time to get testimonials from people. Reach out to your community and ask if they'll record a testimonial over Zoom with you right now. Look for stories that relate to your product or service's main tagline in your inboxes and reach out to people. If you can tell these stories of transformation, it is one of the easiest ways to sell to people who are on the fence about your product or your service, because they can see themselves in that kind of before. This is how I felt before I pulled out my credit card in order to buy this product or service. This is how I felt afterwards. And people will say, oh my gosh, I have that feeling too, if they hear it from someone else. So if you have some extra time on your hands, testimonials are going to be huge and helpful right now. Make sure you are using your insights. Like I said, go into your Facebook Business Manager. I'm not going to share my screen right now so it doesn't poop out on me again. But if you have questions about how to do that, let me know, and I can email you a video of it later as well. Make sure you're keeping the long view in mind. Make sure you know who your company and who your brand wants to be in a year from now. Don't get too caught up in just everything going right now. Have the trend line set that you are going to make it through this, and that you can do the things that is going to set your future company up for success right now, which is building an audience and a community who will stick with you. If you know you're going to lose clients, research ways, again, that you can reach out to podcasts, collaborate with other people in order to really get a strong vibe going. And start now. Make sure that you are someone who is thinking that if you don't know how to do this 100%, you don't know how to message right now. No one really does. Remember, learn your way into that expertise. Make sure that you remember the ROI on sitting on the fence and saying, I don't know what to post, is nothing. The ROI of powerfully moving forward with whatever feels right to your brand and your core values can be life-changing for your followers. You have a responsibility, if you know your product or service can help solve a pain point in their life, to share it out. So have that mindset when you're creating these things, and have some grace right now. If you missed a month of batching, if you haven't created a lot of content in a while, that's why Meet Edgar exists, to continue to keep your feeds fed and to continue to make sure that your product or service is having a presence on social media. So last but not least, the more you learn, the more you earn. If you have extra time, if you're working remotely, take some classes, jump on some articles, and learn this stuff. All right, so I know you guys are asking about the batching, and I know this was a little bit different of a messaging this time, but if you are new to batching, what I want you to do is think about it this way. If you're brand new to Edgar especially, the biggest way to get the biggest bang for your buck with Edgar is going on into your categories and setting up your main core categories of what you want to post. Once you have those categories set up, make sure that you're going in and you're adding 10 posts to those categories at least 10 posts to each category in there. Make that goal and that commitment to yourself of getting that done this week. Once you add 10 posts to each of those categories, you can go to your schedule tab in Edgar, and you can actually pop each of those categories onto your schedule. And if that category is on your schedule twice, you have a month's worth of fresh content going out. So I'm hoping this isn't going to crash my program again here when I share this, but let me show you what I mean. If it does, I will be right back. Maura will let me know. All right, here we go. So set up your categories again on your schedule here. Pop those categories on twice as time slots. As Me Edgar is going along, remember, if you have a category on your schedule twice, so if you have a blog post category here and a blog post category here, if you have this on here 2 times and you have 10 posts in that category in the library, it's going to take Edgar 5 weeks, so approximately a month, to work through all of them and then resurface the content. So that gives you a whole month in order to create new content and slowly start adding it into the categories in the library and slowly start to pop more time slots onto the schedule. So that's my best advice. I know a lot of you here are new, to go ahead and get the most bang for your buck so Edgar will start sending things out. Remember, have that experimental mindset. You can always go ahead and remove time slots from your schedule. You can always go ahead and add more time slots into your schedule, stuff like that as you go along. So that when it comes down to batching, what batching math should be done truly is depending upon if you want to do batching on a weekly basis or a monthly basis. I always love to really be a champion for monthly batching because that means you only have to create status updates 12 times a year, which is really going to be a game changer and a time saver for you. So again, if you are someone who is struggling to know what types of content to come up with, use some of the core categories that Meet Edgar has set up and go ahead and think about how you can go out and actually Google some things to add in there. If you don't have a lot of your own content right now, obviously we want you to add your blog posts. We want you to drive traffic there. We want you to add curated content. Again, it is a great way to show your followers you are staying up to date as an expert in your industry. We want you to add tips. Tips allow you to upcycle your content. What is upcycling? It means you take one really well-researched piece of content, like a blog post, and you pull out some pull quotes from that blog post to add in as text only, or to add onto a beautiful background like in Canva, and you add those into your tips category. So some batching math is actually on that worksheet I provided. I'm going to pull it up here and share my screen because if you've never done batching math before, this can be really a helpful one to do. And then I'll give you some more category ideas if you're looking for ideas of what else to post. We also have a few spreadsheets I'll share with you guys that we did in a past content batching party if you're looking for just a quick way to import posts into Edgar. So I'll share those in a minute too. But back to the actual batching. Again, if this crashes, I'm so sorry. I'll be right back. Looks like it's okay. All right. So this right here is, you can download this. It was shared here if you want, but this really helps you clarify some batching math here. So ask yourself how many status updates you want to send out a day and how many days a week. So, you know, if you want to send out 6 status updates a day, 5 days a week, go ahead and put those numbers into that first bullet point right here. So then we're going to break that down. That's sending out how many status updates a week or how many status updates a month. So you can go ahead and do that math here, that if you create 6 status updates a day, 5 days a week, that can sound a little bit daunting. That's going to have to be creating 30 status updates a week or 120 status updates a month. So do your own math there. Remember, just multiply this number by this number to get these ones. That means you're going to then decide how many categories you have. Remember, the categories you have are completely set by you. We recommend keeping it to a space that you're really going to have these different buckets of posts that are obvious. So if you want to have 6 categories, let's say, you're going to write that 6 right here. Then you're going to make a promise to yourself of how many updates per category per month you're going to add. So this is where the math gets really cool. So if you do 6 categories, that's you only having to add 20 status updates per category per month. That is so much more manageable to think about than having to create 120 status updates a month, right? If you sit down and say, okay, today I only have to add 20 status updates to my quotes category, 20 status updates to my curated content category, 20 status updates to my tips category. This is the real power of batching, and it's the real power of getting a consistent storyline going throughout all of your posts. That consistent storyline means you sitting down and having a lens of your brand voice right there and ready to go. And then you're just going to add some time blocks to your calendar every single month to know, the first Monday or the last Friday of every month is your batching day. If you miss a month, again, no, that is why Edgar's system is set up in order to resurface your evergreen content. Here at Meet Edgar, we repeat our blog posts that are some of our more popular traffic driving ones on a quarterly basis. Don't be afraid to repeat a message. Remember, do your A/B testing and knowing what is working well by using things like your history tab here in Meet Edgar. If I go to my history tab here in Meet Edgar, I can start to use this all-time clicks sorting right here. This is actually a column that can be sorted by clicking on this headline. This will show me my posts that have received the most clicks down to the least clicks, just letting me know what times of day are working really well, what message I've used worked really well, all of that fun stuff. So look at the way that you're able to get this information back into your batching for the following month as well. If you have a lot of data built up, go look in here and start to decide what messaging is working. We found when we ask questions in front of our blog posts, we get a better click-through rate than when we just simply share it with the headline. These things are really easy to tell if you're taking a look in your insights as well as in your Edgar history tab at these things. All right, so types of content. If you are looking for the types of content that work really well right now, let me grab that worksheet here. It's going to, again, be a space where you can either add them manually, or if you want the spreadsheet, let me grab those for you. You can import content into Meet Edgar under the Import tab, which is really fun. The Import tab within Meet Edgar is going to allow you to upload a spreadsheet of content or attach an RSS feed. Here we go. Here they are. Oops. So you can go out and obviously Google things that have to do with like business quotes around your business or really great inspirational quotes, or these ones here can be downloaded as a CSV and uploaded into Meet Edgar super easily. So let me go ahead and grab you this link. Sorry, my computer gets really slow when there are videos playing. There we go. So this link right here, if you're looking to get a bunch of status updates into Meet Edgar, has some inspirational quotes on it that you could consider adding in. And I'll go ahead and show you how that's done here. What you're going to do is open that up, make a copy of it, and then download it as a CSV spreadsheet. So once you are in that spreadsheet here, all you have to do is go File, and you have to go Download, and then choose the CSV option. So this one right here, comma separated values. Once you have that, you'll go back into Meet Edgar right here. You'll go to this Import tab. Within the Import tab here, you'll notice this is where you can upload a spreadsheet of content. When you click Import File, you can choose that spreadsheet from your computer. So you'll click Choose File. You can find that spreadsheet on your computer, choose to import it. Upon importing it, Edgar will prompt you for the account connections and of where you want to send these things out. So that's a great way of getting a bunch of status updates in there already if you already have those spreadsheets. If you're looking to curate some content right now, this is the fastest way to do that in Meet Edgar, is using these RSS feeds right here. Definitely add your blog if you haven't done that yet, but if you wanted to curate content from other people's blogs, go ahead and just type in a URL right here. Go ahead and click Find RSS Feed. Edgar will go ahead and let you know if that blog has an RSS feed on it. You'll put it into the category. So that's either your blog post or like a recommended reads category if it's curated content. Always let Edgar know what accounts the articles have permission to go out to down here. If you'd like these posts to only send out once, you can mark every single post that comes in from this RSS feed as a use once post if you want. You can send posts directly to your library. Edgar checks RSS feeds every 24 hours to see if a new post has been released within that time frame. If it has, he'll automatically pull the title and the URL into the library. It'll send out when that category is on your schedule next. Or you can send it to a pending content queue, which allows for an approval process where you can approve a post or reject a post or edit a post before it goes into your library. If you send RSS feeds to your pending queue, your library is right here. The pending queue will have a little number over it. From here, all you're going to do is approve, reject, or edit the post. I always recommend editing it to add in a little bit of your own thought leadership in there before you approve it into the library. So again, a lot of great ways to really help you get content into the library quickly. All right, so let me see here. Are there any other sort of questions that have come up? Go ahead and let me know if you have any other specific Edgar questions. I'm going to look real quick. I think we do have more spreadsheets if you guys want them. I'm going to look real quick if I can find that. But keep your questions coming, and I'll share my screen again, and we can go over those, of course. Here we go. All right. Oh, thanks, Celeste. Appreciate that. RSS feed help. Yes. So let me share my screen here real quick here. So for the RSS feeds, again, a great kind of option for doing this is to go out and Google top blogs in your industry. There's so many curated lists out there that are like top blogs in the healthcare industry, top blogs in XYZ industry. And this is a really helpful way for you then to go ahead and get some curated articles. But when you're in Meet Edgar, just go to your import tab right here. Within your import tab, this is where you're just going to add the URL. If your blog or if a URL isn't working, you can feel free to send it to support@meetedgar.com, and we're happy to take a look. Oftentimes we can find a fix for it, or we can let you know what needs to be fixed in order to have a established RSS feed on the site. But super simple. You're just adding in the URL here, clicking on Find RSS Feed, and then as if you were adding a content piece manually, you're just popping it into a category. You're checking off the accounts you'd like the posts to go out to, and then you're choosing to either send these directly to your library or to your pending content queue. If things are going directly into your library, they'll go out the next time this category is on your schedule, since Edgar is working in a last in, first out order. If they're going directly, if they're going to the pending content queue, remember, Edgar checks every 24 hours to see if a new post has been released within that time frame and pulls it into the pending content queue. If it has, that number will show up there. And then you can just pop into this pending section and approve, edit, or reject the post from here. So yeah, a super great way, again, to go out and Google some top blogs in your industry and almost use this like a feedly in order to save you time so you don't have to go out and actually look for those things. If you do happen to find yourself online just finding a really great blog post that you want to add, but you don't want to add it as an RSS feed, you can also download our Chrome extension. You'll notice I have this little Meet Edgar icon here. So this is our blog, but this could be any article that you're online. When I click my Meet Edgar extension in my toolbar, this will pop up where I'm able to go ahead and check off the accounts I'd like this to go out to, select a category, and just add it right to my Edgar library from here without having to copy and paste back into the Edgar account. Huge time saver if you curate content, or again, you can always use this drop-down arrow to send now and save if you would like as well. So if you don't have that yet, I will pop that into the chat as well here. Yeah, the Chrome extension is a huge game changer for adding in content quickly that you find. So go ahead and download that. If you forget how to use it, we have this playlist on YouTube that just has some 2-minute videos of each and every section of Edgar. One of them says bookmarklet, that second link right there. Just go ahead and click on the bookmarklet one and it'll walk you through how to establish it and use that kind of stuff. So glad, Marie, that you love the Chrome extension. Super exciting to see you actually be able to use that. Let me know if you guys do have any other questions. I will grab one more spreadsheet for you here once I find it that I want to share out. But keep your questions coming. Maura might have to pop off, but I'll stay on a little longer if you do have setup questions, stuff like that, just because we do want to make sure that we respect your time. I know these things are set up for an hour, but I'm happy again to stay here and answer questions for a little bit longer if you guys have them. All right. Looks like my internet is hating me again. Thanks for sticking around. All right, so Gina, if you do have a RSS feed that's not working, feel free to email it to support@meetedgar.com, or right here, this is Google's feed burner. Google's feed burner will, if you put the URL right in there, it'll actually show you the like the errors that exist on it and why Edgar can't read it. So consider doing that. But like I said, go ahead and email it to support@meetedgar.com and we can take a look. If you guys do have to pop off, but if you have more like app-related questions, make sure that you do know we run office hours every day. I have one at 4 o'clock today. They're super unstructured. You just pop in and ask your questions. That link, you can sign up for them. So you can go ahead and sign up for that if you want, if you do have more questions, stuff like that. Lorraine, there is never any dumb question at all. I'm glad you asked. Does my content only go out to my followers or does it go out to a wider audience? It feels like some of the posts are repetitive to some audiences. So the way that the algorithm does work is it's going to show your content to a small section of your followers and see the reaction to it. So that's why you really want to have strong calls to action on regarding things like your posting, regarding things like getting comments on your post, getting shares on your post, because that's what the algorithm looks for as a successful post. If it sees that your followers are actually liking this, commenting on it, sharing on it, stuff like that, it'll then open it up and say, okay, this is a relevant piece of content that people want to see. Because when you think about an algorithm, what's it doing? It's trying to give the best information to the right audiences so that they stay within Facebook or within Instagram or within Twitter. So if you are someone who is not seeing that your post is being opened up to a lot of your followers, think about more ways you can get that meaningful social interaction so that when the algorithm in the first couple of hours that you share that piece of content sees a lot on it, they'll say, okay, let's open this up to wider following so that people can see it that way. So that's going to be sort of that best, why it matters to find like the best times to post for your ideal audience, stuff like that, so that you can get that good engagement boost right away. If you've never looked like at your Facebook insights before, this one isn't even in the business manager. This is just straight up on your page, and I'll show you how to do that here real quickly. Let me share my screen. But if you've never looked at your Facebook Insights to see the graph of the best times to post, it can be incredibly informative that way. All right, hopefully this stays on. Cool. So when you're on your page, it will be right up here or under this More button, depending upon how many tabs you have. And it says Insights. So go to your Facebook page and click on Insights. When you go to Insights, over on the left, you can click this Post section here. When I click on Posts, I'm getting a graph to show me when my followers are online the most, what days they're online the most, as well as what times. And this is hugely helpful to be able to make sure your time slots in your Meet Edgar schedule are centered around these times. So make sure you go on in and you look at this in order to inform when your time slots are going out there. When you scroll down, you can also see the types of posts that are really getting your followers excited, whether they're video posts, link posts, or photo posts. Remember, you want to make sure you're paying attention to the medium your followers like to consume in, and use these kind of breadcrumbs they're leaving you, these things that they're showing you that they like, and go ahead and double. All right, so it looks as if I am having so many technical difficulties with this going out here. So I'm gonna go ahead and pop on off. Please let me know if you missed anything like that. Email support@meetedgar.com. I will email you out some recordings as well as some articles that can be super helpful depending upon what goals you guys set in the pre-content batching party form. Thank you so much for joining. This has been a blast for me, getting to know you guys, stuff like that. Please let us know feedback. We love doing content batching parties every single month. So we'd love to know what you guys want to learn next month as well. So keep me updated, support@meetedgar.com. Pop into office hours at any time as well. And again, thanks for spending the last hour with me. It was a blast, guys.